good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're viewing this. My name is Mike. I am the Crypto Liberal. Thanks for joining me again today. Do me a favor. We need to get the message out because we are killing it on this channel, and we have some data and some charts that nobody else has seen in all of crypto Twitter, in all of crypto YouTube, and so far they're playing out. And I don't see anybody else talking about this, and we will show evidence of that today. So if you do me a favor, give me a like, give me a subscribe. We need to get the message out there. Share this video with your friends because more people need to be aware of the life-changing gains that are possible outside of Bitcoin. And frankly, people aren't recognizing it. And the caution that you need to display at this pivotal moment in time around Bitcoin, because it's not all roses at this point. And we'll talk about that. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe. So let's start. Today it started looking like a good day today, but I've been telling you for weeks and weeks and weeks about this resistance line that we've been tracking for a couple months now on this channel. And I told you it's not going to be easy to get past it. And I'm not going to get excited about Bitcoin until we get past it, until we are above it for a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, and come back and test that resistance as support. Well, we're coming up to that resistance, and everybody's talking about, well, let's see what everybody's talking about. I've just captured just a few, right? Just a few. Let's look at them. So, Chris, I love Chris, but he says, oh, once we break 24.5, we can go to 28,000 very quickly. Or how about Carl? I like Carl, but he says we're on the verge of a massive bullish reversal. Or this crypto saving expert, I think this is Martini guy. Can Bitcoin get to 28K in the coming weeks? What do you think? And then Dennis Porter, who's saying, well, where's all the bull trap people now? Well, why the excitement? The Greed and Fear Index, or Fear and Greed Index, whatever, is at like 40 something. All of a sudden we're back in neutral territory. Just after a couple weeks after one of the biggest downtrends that I've experienced in crypto, a sustained downtrend. We have a few weeks, basically not even about a month now of an uptrend, and people are that excited already? What is going on? Let's look at it. Let's look at what I've been telling you about on this channel and how it's playing out, because it's playing out exactly like we've been talking about on this channel. So let's look at it. Now, I've drawn a couple extra lines on here, so I want you to focus on this downtrending red line that's in the middle of the screen right now, right? This downtrending red line. I've told you ever since we broke below it back here, on June 11th, June 12th, that once we're below it, it's gonna be a while to get back above it, and I'm not gonna be excited until we get back above that descending red line, right? Well, look at what happened today. Can that descending red line be any more clear that it's resistance? Look, we marched right up to it today and got rejected. We're right back where we started the day. That is clear resistance. So, I don't know why people are getting excited. And on top of it, it's not even the worst part of this. And I've seen this multiple places today. This little snippet where that Martini guy is telling you, hey, click on this link and you can get a free bonus if you just go to that exchange and trade on leverage. You give your Bitcoin, say a Bitcoin, and you get this bonus, and then you trade on leverage, and you risk getting liquidated. Don't do it. I've told you this from day one on this channel. Don't do that. Don't follow these people that tell you to do this. They are getting a kickback. If he has made as much money as he claims he's made, he doesn't need a kickback. He doesn't need a kickback from your hard-earned money. He's asking you to advance your hard-earned money and risk it. Risk getting liquidated. Risk your entire portfolio, potentially, depending on how much you're putting in there, just so he can get a few measly bucks. Why? Is he that hard up? Does he really need that? No, don't do that. And then he's not the only one. All those guys I just showed you that are talking about 28,000, 30,000. Are we gonna? I think Carl even said We could be at 48,000 in 2 weeks. They're all got these links. Don't do it. I've told you on this channel that the big money players that are on those exchanges have more money than you do, have higher risk tolerance than you do, have more time than you do, and they have better tools than you do. You only need 3 strikes in your mouth. That's 4 strikes. Don't do it. Don't risk your hard-earned money. Keep it. You can stack sats. We've proven it on this channel. You can stack sats by simply moving out of Bitcoin at the exact opportune moment and putting it in an alt, and then all of a sudden you're 15, 40% higher versus Bitcoin. Why would you trade on leverage? You don't need to. So don't click on these guys' links, man. Please, I beg of you, don't do it. And to be putting out those links right now at this time is the height of risk. I mean, let's go back to that Bitcoin chart, right? I showed you the descending red line, right? How that's a 2-year trend line that has played, both support and resistance for almost 2 years at this point. We're not going to break it easily. So it's resistance. Why would these guys be asking you to put money into an exchange and trade on leverage and risk getting liquidated at resistance? It makes no sense, but that's only one resistance. I told you I put a couple lines in there, right? Now, these are shorter term lines, these other 2 lines I put in here, but look at these 2 ascending red lines, right? That's an ascending, broadening wedge we're in. Now, I don't trade on shorter time frames like this. This is a shorter time frame than that descending red line that goes back 2 years. This only goes back, this ascending, broadening wedge goes back to June of this year. So June 18th. So it's a month-long trend. But it is a valid trend. And I don't like to trade on these, but I drew these lines for perspective on what these people are asking you to do when they're trying to get you to trade and leverage. Look at this, where we went up to today. We went to the top of the resistance of that broadening wedge, which also happens to coincide exactly with the descending trend line that we've been tracking for months on this channel, right? It's no coincidence that we got rejected right off of that line. That's 2 resistances that we're bumping up against right now. And these people are asking you to trade on leverage. They're begging you to give them a little kickback, so you risk your own funds, so they can get a little bit of a kickback. It makes no sense to do that at resistance, especially 2 resistance levels. These people do not have your best interest in mind. I know they get on YouTube and talk about how much money they've made, and they're billionaires or millionaires or whatever. Don't do it. Maybe they are. Maybe Carl is a billionaire. I don't know. You don't know either. He talks a good game, but he doesn't. If he is a billionaire, he doesn't have your best interest in mind. If he's trying to get you to trade on leverage at 2 resistance levels, so he can get a few measly extra bucks in his pocket. Don't do it. It's disgusting. Don't do it. So I'll never do that on this channel. I'll never hawk an exchange so I can get a little bit of a kickback. It's irresponsible. So don't do it, please. I beg of you. So that's my spiel for today. Like I said, we're at 2 resistance levels. Look, and we just went negative for the day on Bitcoin. I mean, it's not a coincidence that we dumped right when we hit those 2 lines. And I can't believe people are trying to get you to trade on leverage at resistance. I'm sorry. It stirs me up, man. It stirs me up. I so don't, I've made mistakes. I've traded on leverage and gotten liquidated, and it's not a fun experience. So I'm just trying to warn you not to do that, not to fall into that trap, especially from these guys that supposedly have millions and billions of dollars, presumably, that don't need the kickback that they're getting from you potentially risking your entire life savings. Don't do it. They don't have your best interest in mind. I beg of you. Okay, so let's talk about that resistance, and in particular, that descending that descending line like I'm talking about. Because again, I trade on longer terms, and I advocate everybody to do that. Trade on longer term trends. And so look at this. I mean, is it any wonder that we're getting rejected at the pay attention to this middle line, right? This middle line. This goes back, these three lines I got in here. We're in essentially two descending channels, right? And these three, so there's three lines here, but it goes back to January of 2021. So we're coming up on 2 years that these two channels have been valid. And look, just pay attention to the middle line. So we finally got up, to the middle line in February of last year. But it served as, excuse me, it served as resistance right here in March of last year, served as support in March of last year, served as support in April of last year, and then we broke through it. After we broke through it and went to the bottom line of these two descending channels, we were below it for 3 months in here, last summer. But then look, we came back up, and again, it served as resistance. That middle line perfectly, excuse me, served as resistance. So we're at resistance now. Don't trade on leverage at this point. Wait for confirmation. So then, we got it back above it. Look at support perfectly. And then, this is when we went to our $69,000 high. And then look, after we came back off of that 69 high, served as support again in January of this year. And whoops, I'm going to screw up my lines here. Come on. And then, so let's keep going. It served as support here in February of this year. And then look, for an entire month here in May and June of this year, right? Served as support. And finally we broke it. And so it's not a coincidence that we're getting rejected off of it right now. And I've been telling you for over a month now that this descending red line is going to be strong resistance. Has anybody else, seriously, what the heck is going on? Has anybody else in crypto Twitter told you this? Has anybody else on crypto YouTube pointed this channel out to you? I haven't seen one other person talking about these two descending channels that we're in. It's evident right there in the chart. Those three lines are proving as support, resistance, and support and resistance over and over and over and over again for almost 2 years at this point. Nobody else is talking about this. Is it any wonder we got rejected at the point we got rejected at today? Now, I'm not saying we're never going to get above that middle line, because we will. Bitcoin will get above that middle line. And maybe it happens this week. Maybe it happens a lot easier than I think it will. But I'm almost 90% certain. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion. If we do break it, say we break it this week, and we go up and we challenge 40,000, say. In my mind, I'm 90% certain of this. We will come back down and challenge that line, and it will serve as support. And I'm utterly convinced that this is going to happen. Not financial advice. You need to make your own financial decisions based on your own financial situation. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I'm doing. But we'll get above that red line at some point. Maybe this week. Maybe 2 months from now. But it'll happen. But after we get up above it, we might go up to 28, 30, 40,000. But we will come back down and see if that line holds as support. Mark my words. It will happen. And if it holds as support, if we come back down, it holds as support, that's when I've been telling you for a couple months at this point. That's when I'll get excited about Bitcoin again. That's when it's time to go long. Not now. Don't click on these flipping links when we're at 2 resistance levels. And one resistance level that has been going on that has served as support and resistance for 2 years. You got to wait until we break it, at least until you start trading on leverage. So don't do it, please, I beg you. So it's not a coincidence we're getting rejected right there and going negative today, right? And it's the weekend, so that's even extra reason not to go entering positions on leverage. Oh, it just drives me crazy. I'm sorry. So let's talk about, I've been doing this channel now for almost 13 weeks, and ever since day one on this channel, after, we were in the depths of the bear market. I told you on this channel since day one that Bitcoin's fine, but your return on investment, your return on equity is better. It's better to put money into ADA and Ethereum because both will beat Bitcoin. ADA is my number one choice because I think ADA will beat Ethereum. And I didn't tell you it would happen 13 weeks from when I started this channel, even though it has. I told you by the end of the year, a year from now, and 5 years from now, ADA and Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin, and ADA will outperform both of them. And I collect data and prove it on this channel and on Twitter. And how do we do that? By putting $100 into each of those every week. So I've been doing it. Now I started doing it every Sunday. We were doing it every Monday. Now we're doing it every Sunday. $100 into each of those. So we've been doing it for 12 weeks. So we put $1,200 into each of them. How's it looking? Right? I'm not trying to get you to trade and leverage. I'm not trying to get a kickback from you. I'm trying to prove things to you that are self-evident if you're following this channel. And how is that looking? $1,200 into each of these? Look at ADA and Ethereum are outperforming Bitcoin. We put $1,200 into each of these, and the only ones above ground, above sea level, making a profit versus the US dollar are ADA and Ethereum. If our dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, we're losing money, but we're gaining money in ADA and Ethereum, exactly as I predicted would happen on this channel. But look at even further. ADA and Ethereum are crushing Bitcoin. I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't say ADA is crushing Bitcoin, but Ethereum certainly is. It's crushing Ethereum, or Ethereum's crushing Bitcoin, and ADA will soon be crushing Bitcoin as soon as these protocol updates get launched for both Ethereum and ADA. They're going to skyrocket versus Bitcoin, and they already are. So I've been telling you, dollar cost average into those every 13 weeks. But I didn't say go all in, right? I still had, when I started this channel, I had Bitcoin. I had plenty of Bitcoin. But I was dollar cost averaging into ADA and Ethereum. But then as things progress throughout the summer here, the charts for ADA and Ethereum just shouted bullish versus Bitcoin. So let's look at how those are doing, right? Let's look at how those are doing. So let's start with ADA. Again, I don't trade short-term trades, right? I don't trade short-term trades. So I look at the Coinbase chart and I look at the weekly chart. So these are long-term trades. And again, I mean, this is so beautiful. This descending wedge, it goes back to August of last year, right? And as soon as we broke that upper trend line, that upper descending red line, back here on the week of June 6th, or actually we broke it the week of May 30th, I brought it to you this week on June 13th. I made a special video on a Sunday night, and I said, I'm moving out of Bitcoin. That's when I moved out of Bitcoin. Not 13 weeks ago. At the exact opportune moment, I moved out of Bitcoin into ADA, largely, and Ethereum. And those are my two largest positions. And I told you that when one ADA was worth 0.000019 Bitcoin. And right now, it's 0.00002215 Bitcoin. What does that mean? That's a 17% return versus Bitcoin, right? You would be doing better if you had taken your position out of Bitcoin and put it into ADA the exact night, the exact opportune moment. Like I said on this channel, go back and watch it. It's all documented on this channel. You could have a 17% more Bitcoin if you had moved out of Bitcoin the night I told you I was doing it. And again, that's without trading on leverage. That's without clicking a link and giving somebody a little bit of a kickback because, I don't know, they need the extra bucks, even though they're millionaires and billionaires. Don't trade on leverage. You can stack sats by just getting out of Bitcoin at the opportune moment. And there's plenty of opportune moments. And we're still early in that ADA trade. Again, it's a long-term trade. I don't expect, when I made that trade, that night or in the days that followed, I told you it was a long-term trade. I told you it was going to be by the end of the year, or a year from now, when I would get out of that position maybe, or take some profits from that position. It's a long-term trade. It's not something I'm looking to get out of in a few months. And then, but I was honest on the Ethereum, right? That same night I said, also, I'm moving out of Bitcoin and putting in Ethereum. I almost emptied my Bitcoin account that night. Almost emptied it. And I went into ADA largely, right? So it's 17% up on ADA, but I also went into Ethereum. How's that looking? So let's take a look at that one. ETH versus Bitcoin. Again, we're looking at versus Bitcoin. And Coinbase chart again, the weekly chart. Again, I told you back here, the week of, May or June 6th. And right when we hit the bottom, this support line, I told you this support line was going to hold. I told you that night, that Sunday night, this support line I expect to hold. Well, look what's happened to Ethereum since then. Green candle, a little red candle, green candle, and another green candle. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 7 weeks. Green candles since I brought it to this channel. I mean, can it get any more perfectly timed than when I brought it to this channel? Help me get the message out there, because these opportunities don't come around very often. And I'm afraid people are getting lost into, well, Bitcoin's going up, so I must be making money. And hey, I should click on this link and trade on leverage, where you could be making more money by getting out of Bitcoin. We need to spread that message. And so how's that trade looking ever since I told you about it? Well, it's up 37% or something like that. 36 or 37%. And I'm waiting for it to get up to here, this blue line, So I told you I was moving out of Bitcoin into Ethereum when one Ethereum was about 0.052 Bitcoin. Right now it's at 0.0711 Bitcoin. A 37% return. And I'm waiting for it to get up to this upper blue line, and I will start taking some profits. And I will be honest and forthcoming. I will tell you exactly the moment I'm taking profits and moving into something else. Probably not Bitcoin, because there's so many other opportunities out there right now. And so help me spread that message, right? It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, the opportunities in front of us. But they don't reside in Bitcoin alone. And these people trying to get you to trade Bitcoin on leverage are screwing you over in a couple ways. They're trying to get you to trade Bitcoin, first of all, and on leverage on top of it, when there's so many more opportunities. If you had moved, let's say it was up to 40-something% at one point. 40%, let's call it, even though it's a 37% return right now. If you had moved that night, just a few weeks ago, from Bitcoin into Ethereum, the night I told you about it on this channel and on Twitter, if you had moved from Bitcoin into Ethereum, just one Bitcoin, you'd have 1.4 Bitcoin. 2 Bitcoin, you'd have 2.8 Bitcoin. You can stack sats without trading on leverage. Don't follow these guys that are telling you to trade on leverage. So those are the two big ones, my two biggest positions, right? I'm winning on both. Now there's two other positions that I've also taken, a lot smaller, but let's just take a look at them for complete transparency. The first one is DOT. Now we've been losing on DOT ever since I got into it, pretty much, right? But check this out. Check out what's happening this week. I told you DOT was going to turn around, and I got into DOT, back here 3-4 weeks ago, when one DOT was 0.00035 Bitcoin. Well, right now we're at 0.000348 Bitcoin. We're basically even. I told you DOT was going to come back. So we're going to keep monitoring that. And I'm convinced that I will get a 100% return on that by the time I get out. Again, it's not a short-term trade. I wasn't worried about it. We haven't broken, that descending red line, that resistance, that upper red line, downtrending red line. We broke out. It was resistance. We tested it as support multiple times. It's not a coincidence that it's holding. Again, I brought it to you at the exact moment it turned bullish. Yeah, there was a little bit of a downtrend from there, but I wasn't worried about it. And I've talked about it on this channel. I told you it was going to come back. It's come back. We're basically even. Now, how about the other one? Aave, right? Aave. I brought to you, this was more recent, 2 weeks ago. Aave versus Bitcoin. And again, we look at the Coinbase chart. And again, it's a descending wedge. So it looks like the dot chart, the polka dot chart, and the ADA chart. But again, I told you after it broke out right here, hey, pay attention to this, see if it acts, that resistance, former resistance line turns into support. It did. But I waited until this week to get in. So I waited until one Aave was worth 0.004 Bitcoin. Well, now it's 0.0030 or 399 Bitcoin. So again, basically even. I'm not worried. Again, I'm waiting for to double my return versus Bitcoin, of course. So I'm considering that too even, too positive versus Bitcoin. I'm considering that 100% accuracy rate so far. And on top of that, so that's 4 perfect calls. As long as we're not losing, it's 4 perfect calls in my mind. And then on top of that, putting that resistance line in there and it acting so perfectly today, that's 5 for 5. I'm calling in the last couple months on this channel. If you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Let's check out, I just want to check out Bitcoin one more time because it chaps my hide that these people are telling you to trade on leverage at resistance. So we've been looking at the daily for Bitcoin. So I want to go back to the daily here and look at that. I mean, how perfect did that line play out? That descending red line, check that out. Look at that. Went right up to it and got rejected. And look at that. I mean, we're losing steam fast ever since we hit that line. Losing steam fast at resistance. Don't trade on leverage. I will say that's financial advice. If you're at resistance, don't trade on leverage. Okay, so that's all I have for tonight. I hope you're having a great weekend. Don't pay too much attention to these charts. Nothing has changed in the macro environment, right? We are in for a little bit of a long slog, I think. We're not going to have a big bull run to 48,000 in 2 weeks, as Carl hinted at on his Twitter. I just don't see that happening. Now, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll come in and say, hey, I'm surprised we went to 48,000. But if that happens, and Bitcoin goes to 48,000, man, I can't wait to see what Cardano and Ethereum are at, because they will outperform Bitcoin, as I've been telling you for 13 weeks. So that's it. I hope you're having a great weekend. I'm so bullish right now, and not on Bitcoin. My name is Mike. I am the Crypto Liberal. Pay attention tomorrow. Put another $100 into Ethereum, ADA, and Bitcoin, and keep tracking them to prove our hypothesis. And it's proven out. Have a good night. Talk more tomorrow. My name is Mike. I am the Crypto Liberal.